All right, there you go. The abrupt intro ending. Welcome in. It is the Johncast podcast. Thank you for tuning into this podcast. A couple of quick notes before we start today's episode. Number one, thank you to Ian's Pizza, a sponsor of the podcast. They have been since the very beginning. I appreciate all the support from Ian's Pizza. I think you should go support Ian's as well, with 3 locations in Madison and 3 in Milwaukee. They're also in Seattle and they're also in Denver. They've always got different variety slices of pizza. You got classic pizza, but then you got, like some different slices, like mac and cheese is one of their go-tos. It's a favorite in my household. Also, and this is only going to happen with you, the listener, right now listening to this, taking the next 60 seconds and then the next 10 seconds a day after that. And I'm talking about the Best of Madison. You can nominate the Johncast podcast for the Best of Madison. It's very simple. I've got the link on my Facebook page, the Johncast podcast. It's also going to be in this episode's description. You click on the link, you click on Arts and Entertainment, you scroll to local podcast, and you enter JONCAST, and then you hit the space bar, and you write podcast, and then you enter your email, and you hit enter, and that's all. And the first time takes about 60 seconds, and every day after that, 10 seconds a day. Now through February 28th, and literally the only way this podcast will get nominated is if everyone listening goes and does that 10 seconds a day now through February 28th. So there you go. That's the Best of Madison. Well, I'm super excited about today's guest. She has dominated the volleyball court for the last several years at Northwestern, and now volleyball fans in Madison and Wisconsin Badger fans are going to be able to watch her perform and watch her just great athletic ability on the court at the field house. Temi Thomas-Ailara is the newest Badger. I'd like to welcome her to the podcast today. Temi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm so good. I know Badger fans really excited when they heard the news that you have decided to spend your final season of eligibility with the Wisconsin Badgers. So can you just tell me kind of what led you to choose Wisconsin?
Yeah, I think I went on 3 visits in January. I went to Pitt, Florida, and then last I went to Wisconsin. And I think the girls at Wisconsin were amazing. The team culture they have there is really something special, and I felt like it was something I would really fit into. Along with that, they had the masters I was interested in, as well as access to the hospital, which I'll be able to work in while I'm there. And I just think that Kelly and Brittany and Gary are really awesome coaches, and they'll help me improve in the parts of the game that I need to improve in, which I think are my serve receive and my blocking.
Yeah. Okay. So I was just going to say, so serve receive is something you want to work on. What else? What other parts of your game do you feel like needs a little tweaking?
I think my blocking could use some work. I feel like,
Okay.
yeah, I feel like I could just get more blocks per set than I do. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, they were fantastic at the net last season, this Badgers team. So I think
yeah.
that's going to probably reflect on your statistics as well. So Pitt, Florida, Wisconsin. What was it about when you visited all those places? Was it just the fact that you could do that, like work in the hospital, like you were talking about? Was that one of the biggest things, or what was it about the other teams, I guess?
Yeah, it was a little bit of everything. They all had a master's I was interested in. They all have like a close connection to the hospitals around them. The hospitals are close to campus. And then they're all really good volleyball programs. So I just felt like those 3 schools were the 3 I was considering for those main reasons, like a good volleyball program, masters I was interested in, as well as access to the hospital that I would be able to work in either over the summer or during season, or maybe both.
When Carter, one of your future teammates, Carter Booth, transferred from Minnesota, she said when she first entered her name, within like 3 minutes, that's when like the stuff started hitting the fan. Like all of a sudden she's getting messages, and it was within minutes. I'm assuming it was something similar. Can you talk about what that process was like when you finally, I don't know, hit the submit button or whatever that is like, and what was that afterwards like?
Yeah, so I entered, I think, on a Sunday. So I entered on a Sunday, and I was like, oh, it'll be fun. No one's going to be looking, because I entered right after Thanksgiving weekend.
Okay.
It was like right before the first week of the tournament. And then like 10 minutes later, I'm like, okay, I have 3 emails. That's kind of not what I was expecting. Like I was expecting everything to come in Monday. And then a couple hours later, I had like 30 emails. And then within like the next 4 days, I had like so many emails to just go through and like look through and figure out what I was interested in, kind of what I wanted. Um, and it actually came at a very stressful time during my quarter because since we're on quarter systems at Northwestern, we were in reading week, so I had some final reports and final papers, and then a final presentation and a final the week after. And my birthday was in that week as well. So I was just getting blown up in my email and my text messages, everything, just because groups were texting me. My friends and family were texting me for my birthday. The coaches were texting me, and I was just like, I can't handle this right now. So then I kind of slowed it down a little bit, and then closer to like mid-December is when I really started getting into the recruiting process.
Yeah, that's amazing because I don't think we think about that. And I say we as in a fan or a member of the media or whatever. Like once those emails come in, that's you, right? I mean, you don't have an
Mm-hmm.
assistant. You're it's just you and in classes and in life. And all of
Mm-hmm.
a sudden now you've got like a full-time job just to decide where you want to go next, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's
Yeah.
definitely like difficult and kind of awkward, saying no to a
Yeah.
school that wants you, that's interested in you. It's always an awkward little situation to send them that email back or have that call with them and be like, actually, I feel like I'm going in a different direction. But I mean, coaches are always so awesome and they make you feel so accepted and like accept your decisions in the end, which I think is really awesome.
I wonder how much your family played into this decision. And I know your parents attended what, like every match they could at Northwest. You're from the suburbs of Chicago, if I'm correct here. So,
Yeah.
did the
Mhm.
distance from Madison to Chicago help in your decision?
I think so. Throughout the recruiting process, they were like, wherever you go, like we'll still come to your games and stuff. And we'll be supportive of you. And they were trying to figure out like if I went to Florida or if I went to Pitt, like what they were going to do, if they were just going to come up for like a couple weeks at a time if we had multiple home games in a row or something. Um, but in the end, I was just like, I feel like I really love Wisconsin. I love Wisconsin volleyball, and it would just make you guys coming to my game so much easier that like it just made sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you talk about goals for the season, obviously you said some things you wanted to work on, serve, receive, and blocking. But are there, I mean, how do you enter a season? I'm not asking specifically for 2020, what year are we in? 2023 goals. But when do you start thinking about that? Is that something you do? What is that process like?
I think every season I've been at Northwestern, like we've been thinking about season as soon as like season ends and we start our off-season training. Um, our goal at Northwestern has always been to make the tournament. And we didn't get that here. So, I mean, that's my goal for next season. It's always been my goal to do that and have a run at a national championship, have a run in the tournament, which is something that I didn't do at Northwestern, but something I wanted to do in my college career. So, like, I've been looking forward to next season, honestly, since I entered the portal. I'm
Yeah.
really excited to just be in a new environment with new teammates, new coaches, learning new things, and getting better.
Now you started volleyball at age 10. Is that correct?
Yes.
He's tried other sports too. So, what was it about volleyball that grabbed your attention most?
Um, I think it was the people, honestly. I think the people in volleyball were so different than the people in the other sports.
Hmm.
Um, most of my best friends, almost all of them, are people I've met through volleyball. I think um, I love the sport, but the people is what made me stay in it.
Interesting. When did you start knowing that you could take volleyball to the college level?
Um, I think when I started getting recruited when I was in eighth grade, I was like, oh my gosh, colleges are interested in me. That's so crazy. And then like I kept getting recruited by like um, schools like through my freshman year, and my parents were like, okay, like you could do this in college. Like you just need to decide where you're gonna go. And obviously, like I committed to Northwestern when I was 15, so my parents played a really big role in that decision, just because like I didn't really know what I wanted, so they kind of
Mhm.
helped me navigate. And then I was like, okay. Northwestern is literally the perfect school for me for like the next 4 years of my undergrad, which is
That,
awesome.
that's amazing because I think a lot of people listening, when they were in eighth grade, they probably were not thinking one bit about, I wonder where I'm going to spend college. They were probably just worried about like, should I do my homework today or something? So what is that like then to be an eighth grader and ninth grader and start to say, oh shoot, like in the next couple years, this is going to be a huge decision. This could change my life.
Mhm.
What is that like?
It was weird because, I mean, I was thinking about college and all of my other classmates, I mean, especially in 8th grade and as you're a freshman, no one's, like, thinking about college. Like, they're like,
Right.
"Okay, I need to get these grades to, get accepted into certain colleges, but I don't know where I'm going to apply. I don't know which colleges I'm visiting." Meanwhile, in 9th grade, I had visited, I think, 6 or 7 colleges, and I
Mhm.
was just telling my friends, I was like, "Oh, like, I'm visiting this college, like, I'm up here this weekend. Could you, like, send me the notes, blah, blah." And they're like, "You're doing what?" And yeah, it was just a really weird experience because no one else was doing what I was doing. And then vice versa, when everyone was visiting colleges and like applying to all of the colleges they wanted to apply for, I only had to apply to my one because I knew I was going 2 years before.
Yeah, you had that already figured out well ahead of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. So, um, one thing I also read about you, your parents are both nurses, right? So
Hmm.
can you tell me what you want to do post volleyball career, and how they kind of inspired you to do what you want to do for the rest of your life?
Yeah. It's definitely kind of changed a little bit from when I started as a freshman to where I am now. I think I want to work in healthcare equity, so making healthcare affordable and accessible to more people. Um, so that kind of started in my BME degree. So I'm biomedical engineering right now, and I had like more of a focus in prosthetics. And when I was taking prosthetics classes, it was kind of like we can make these prosthetics, but a lot of people can't afford them because insurance doesn't cover it because it's not really seen as like a necessity. It's just kind of like something extra to help people,
Mhm.
which I think is, I mean, it's a necessity, I think.
Yeah,
Um,
I do.
so most people can't afford them, and the people that can have the money to. And kind of similarly, my parents work in the hospital, and especially during COVID, they just had a couple, or maybe more than a couple cases where people didn't come to the hospital because they were afraid of the hospital bills because they didn't have healthcare, and they were like, "We would rather kind of see if we can make it through without going to the hospital and getting all of the care and paying for all of these bills that we can't really afford right now," um, which in turn put them more at risk because they ended up having to go to the hospital because at that time COVID was so um, hard to get through and there wasn't much research and stuff on it. So it made them more sick than they would have been if they entered sooner had they
Yeah.
not been scared of the hospital bills. So that's kind of where my interest lies right now.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm not asking you for an answer because if we had an answer, we'd have this problem solved already. But like, what is that? How do we change that? How do we make that more affordable so you can afford a prosthetic so you don't have to worry about, man, maybe I shouldn't go to the
Mhm.
hospital, you know? How does that
Yeah,
change? Does that take years? I mean, obviously it will take years, but like
yeah.
uh, what is the leading thought on how we actually change that?
I think it's policy for sure, but I also think hospitals like fundraising money and like trying to make some type of way to have money maybe on the side for people that can't afford, that don't have healthcare, and kind of investing in
Mhm.
those families, um, and maybe like advertising it or something, like just making it known that hey, like you don't have to be scared to come into the hospital. Like we can help you in some way. We can offer this service to you to help you get the care that you need or help your family get the care you need without you having to worry too much about these bills.
So what was it that got you into prosthetics right away before you kind of had that focus on affordable healthcare? What was it about prosthetics?
Um, I just growing up, I saw them a couple times. Like I would see like prosthetic legs or like prosthetic arms, and I always thought they were super like cool and interesting. And I've always loved like building things and like just being in a shop and all of that and kind
Yeah.
of circuits and stuff. Um, So I've always just had an interest in prosthetics and like building them and seeing how they help people kind of get about their daily lives like they did when they had their own limb. I think it's really cool and just really interesting and you can just help so many people with it.
So let me ask you about your parents again, because your parents immigrated from Nigeria over a quarter of a century ago. So what was
Mm.
it like growing up in the suburbs of Chicago with Nigerian-born parents?
Honestly, we talk about this all the time now, but the Nigerian community in Chicago is really big.
Mhm.
And I also have some cousins that live there, and we've just gotten a lot of family friends over the years that kind of have the same background, like Nigerian parents that came from Nigeria, raised in the Chicago suburbs, and actually from the same tribe as my parents, so Yoruba. So they all kind of speak the same language, which I think is really cool. But it's definitely been, I think, a different experience. Just like in our household, the foods that we eat, like I don't eat many American foods when I'm at home. But then when I'm at school, I eat more American foods and I get a little like homesick because I'm like, oh, I miss the Nigerian food that I eat at home. Or like holidays like Thanksgiving. My parents obviously like didn't celebrate Thanksgiving when they were in Nigeria. And they celebrate it now, I think, just because like they started to celebrate it because my brother and I were in school and like we got Thanksgiving off, but we don't really eat American food on Thanksgiving, which I think is also like super cool. But
Yeah.
they've always tried to make sure like my brother and I knew our culture and like know where we're from, which I think I'm really happy that they did that because I mean it's such a big part of who I am today, like my Nigerian culture and Nigerian community I have. Um, yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned the food, because I wanted to ask you, what is your favorite Nigerian food dish?
Mhm. Okay, so my favorite is a goosey soup, which is like it's kind of like spinach blended up with um, like red bell pepper in there, and then it's like a stew, and then you would dip it in like pounded yam or fufu. Some people know it as fufu, and it's kind of like a finger dish. It's kind of mashed potato-y texture, and you like
Okay.
scoop the fufu with your hands, and then you dip it in the goosey, and then you eat it and it's so good. Like, highly recommend that you try it.
Okay, let me pull this up. I'm not sure if you can see this on your screen right now. A goosey soup. Did I spell it correctly?
Yes, that's exactly how to spell it.
Yeah. Which one? Like all of them, right?
Yeah, all of them are like pretty much the same.
Oh man. Okay.
And then the white thing right there, like in the that picture is fufu. Like in the third.
Like
Yeah.
right here. Okay. Oh, whoops.
Yeah.
I'm doing it wrong. Right here.
To the left. Oh yeah, right there. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
fufu in the middle.
So if you're watching on Spotify or if you're watching on YouTube when this finally gets posted to YouTube, you can see what we're talking about. But okay, yeah. Is there, man, is there spots like can you I don't know, are there Nigerian food restaurants? I'm
Yeah,
sure there
there
are.
are. There are a lot. Mm. I'm
Okay.
not sure about Madison. There probably are in Madison, but there's definitely a lot in Chicago.
Okay. So if there are any if anyone knows of a Nigerian restaurant in Madison, let us know and then I can go over there and we can try some agusi soup.
Mm.
All right. So are you ready for random question time, Temi Thomas?
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
ready.
Okay. All right, here we go. Favorite social media app?
Oh, TikTok.
TikTok. That's what a lot of people say. I'm not
Mm.
yeah, I'm not into TikTok yet. I don't know. I'm not into
Not
social media.
yet.
Well,
Oh,
no, I
you
mean,
should have been on TikTok during COVID. TikTok was the thing during COVID. You should have been, if you were gonna get in it, you would have gotten in it in 2020.
okay, so maybe I missed the window for that. What is it because of just that addictive nature of it's just it won't stop showing you funny videos or videos that you think are
Yeah.
awesome,
Once it gets the algorithm right, you're locked in. Like it knows what you want and you just keep scrolling.
right? That's awesome. Do you watch TV?
I'll watch some Netflix shows. Right now I'm watching Ginny and Georgia. And then I'm going to start watching the third season of You.
Oh, of you?
Hmm.
Yeah, okay. I've watched the first couple of seasons of You. So that I don't know. I feel like that series has to wrap up soon because eventually it's just going to get so out of control. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
it's already out of control. Like, oh my gosh,
Mhm.
like how much more can one person do or handle? You know what I mean?
I'm waiting for him to get caught still. I've been waiting since season 1. Like, he's
Yeah,
too smart. Joe is too smart.
that's funny. All right. So in volleyball, would you rather have, and since you want to work on your blocking, a huge block or just a like maybe like uncontested, the other team's block screwed up and you're wide open for takeoff? A huge kill.
Huge block. A monster block is so much more satisfying than a huge kill.
Really? Why is that?
Because it's like you stop the other team's offense before it could even get to your side of the net,
Yeah.
like a wall. It's so much fun to get a good block.
Will you pursue volleyball after Wisconsin? And I'm not asking you to make a decision now. Obviously, you're gonna.
Mm.
But do you feel like overseas is where you want to go, or with so many new volleyball leagues kind of popping up in the next few years, do you think post volleyball, college volleyball, that you maybe want to try to keep it in the States?
I
And it's
think
and by the
I
way, and is this even something you want to pursue after college?
Yeah, I do want to pursue professional volleyball after college. I think um, I would want to go overseas at least for my first year, just
Mhm.
because I think it would be fun to explore somewhere new, and kind of just travel through when I have the chance and I'm like off from volleyball, just travel through wherever I'm at.
Mm, okay. But I think that's pretty neat that I mean there's gonna be a lot of competition with all these volleyball leagues, but even like for example, the
Yeah,
Pro Volleyball Federation, I've had the founders of that on this podcast, and to have a starting salary right out of college, boom, right there to play volleyball for, a few months. Like that just seems like such a unique opportunity that perhaps we can get that momentum where that pro volleyball is an option for fans, for
yeah.
college players. Would that be great?
Mhm. I think it's a really cool opportunity, and I'm really excited that they're starting it because, I mean, volleyball overseas is so big. Why can't it be this big in America with volleyball being one of the fastest growing women's sports in the US?
Yeah. And totally understand what you say about going overseas because it is a unique opportunity for, basketball players, volleyball players, for men's basketball players as well that don't make it to the States. Like you get to do this really cool thing that not everybody has the opportunity to do. And that's just to live somewhere else, get
Mhm.
outside of your comfort zone. So I can understand how that is to someone to be able to be like, oh, for the next few years, you're telling me I can go live in Italy, or I can go
Right.
overseas and explore the world. Like that's amazing.
Mhm.
Um, Final random question. Tell me something you're passionate about outside of volleyball. I know we kind of touched on what you want to do post volleyball, with trying to make healthcare affordable. Is there anything else that you're passionate about?
Um, I would like, I've been trying to pick up some new hobbies
Yeah.
since I've stopped volleyball. So I got into crocheting, over winter break. And I've been trying to figure out how to do that. I've crocheted a couple things, and then I've also started reading again, now that I have the time, and I literally forgot how much I enjoy reading. Um, and then my last, like, kind of thing, I love animals, so then, last year, I got a cat who's literally sitting on my bed right now. Hold on,
Oh,
let me
can
pet
we
her.
see your cat on the? Yeah. What's your cat's name?
Her name is Nala. She's kinda mad right now because I just woke her up, but her name is Nala. Let me pick her up.
Nala. Is that from The Lion King?
Uh-oh, she's moody.
Oh
Yeah,
man,
from The Lion King, but here
there,
she is.
there she is. Hi, Nala. Nice to meet
She's
you.
like she's a year and a half now. Yeah, she's been awesome. She's just been good to have, like, to come back home to and, like, have something to take care of, and yeah, it's been fun having her around, and my roommate loves her too. My roommate was like, "I don't want a cat, like, I don't like cats," and now she's obsessed with Nala because, I mean, who doesn't love a cute little cat?
Man, my daughter is gonna love this part of the interview because she wants a cat so bad. So everything you just said is she is going to, be like, see. It's funny you said crocheting, by the way, because when I was asking that question, I was going to say, like, should I say like knitting? I'm like, no, she's not knitting. But basically it's kind of the same, right?
Mhm. Really similar.
You-
I got some knitting needles and I tried knitting and I was like, "This is so hard."
So what are you going to make? What are you going to crochet? What's your goal to do something like, what do you want to crochet?
I wanna crochet a blanket really
Oh,
bad, but, I mean, that's gonna take a really, really long time, so I think I'm going to just start maybe, like, over summer and see how far I get, and then keep going as, like, I get more time.
well, I always bring up this Kobe quote that's stuck with me. I brought it up with Connor Sejan on the men's basketball team. He talked about once I saw it when I was scrolling the algorithm on this was on Instagram. Um, and he said something, and it applies apparently to crocheting. Just stay with me here. Um, he said, let me bring up the quote. I had it written down here. It's basically about here we go. How kids expect like to make a quantum leap in their basketball game. And he says that's not how it works. It's step by step, one foot in front of the other, day by day, get better every single day. And when you look back, you look down at the mountain you just scaled. And the whole concept is a little bit at a time. And before, you gain these skills, you get better and better. And things don't happen in a week, but they happen in months and years. And so my point with this crocheting is, 5-10 minutes a day. And by the
Mhm,
end of the season, you've got a blanket and you can look back and say,
mhm.
oh, it only took 10 minutes a day.
Yeah. No, literally. So that's what I'm trying to get my stitches right because I told, some of the team this. I was like, "I tried crocheting and then, like, at the bottom it was really, really bad, but then as I got further up, it looked really good. It looked nice, but the bottom makes it, a little tough to look at."
I like it because the bottom's going to remind you of how far you've come, right? Like once
Right.
the blanket's done, the top's going to be phenomenal, you know?
Mhm.
But yeah, make sure you make that red and white, by the way, if you can. Uh,
Okay.
Temi, thanks so much for taking some time. I know volleyball fans are really pumped in Madison to watch you on the court next season. And once again, just thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, of course. This is fun.
All right, cool. Thank you. That's Temi Thomas-Ailara, newest Wisconsin Badger. You'll see her on the court in 2023, along with transfer Carter Booth and all the regulars coming back. Excited for another fantastic season of Wisconsin Badger volleyball. Thanks to Ian's Pizza for sponsoring this podcast. Check them out. 3 locations in Madison, 3 in Milwaukee. They're in Seattle. They're in Denver. Ian's Pizza. If you don't know, now you know. Also, John Cast Podcast. You can nominate this for the best of Madison. Only way we get nominated is if everybody takes 10 seconds a day to vote. And I've got all the details on how you do it step by step. It literally, once you do it the first time might take like a minute, and then 10 seconds a day after that. All the steps on this podcast description in the episode description. I've got it on my Facebook page as well. You can go scroll and find that. Really easy to do. So thank you for listening to this episode of the John Cast Podcast. Thanks to Temi Thomas-Ailara. And we'll talk to you next time. Goodbye.